It is time for back to school. For some students at private schools, that means it's time to actually head back to the classroom.
For students at CCSD, they'll be distance learning online in 2 weeks' time. And for others in charter and other private schools, it will be a blend of both. Thank you for joining us for this back to school special. I'm Kirsten Joyce.
And I'm Brian Loftus. Good evening. We know you have a lot of questions, so for the next half hour, we'll be giving you answers that have been figured out and telling you what you need to know in order to get ready for all of it. For CCSD, school starts on August 24. Students will be starting the school year entirely through distance education. The school district put information about that in a back to school family guide. Kate Houston breaks down how it can help you prepare for the upcoming year.
This 28-page document lays out how CCSD will move forward with full-time distance learning. It goes over everything from access to technology, meal distribution, and the responsibilities of families and teachers.
The digital guide is meant to be a one-stop resource for the 320,000 students in the district. When it comes to scheduling, there will be time allocated for synchronous or real-time learning and asynchronous or independent learning. Schedules and weekly instructional guides will be provided to families by their school.
And that's, I think, the biggest shift for teachers now, because we weren't really sure how our lessons were going to look. But now we know that we're going to have time where we need to actually be giving a live lesson to our students.
The guide references how the district will offer access and resources to students with disabilities and English language learners. Melissa Ruiz's 8-year-old son has an IEP. She wishes the district went into more detail on their plan.
I think they did rush it a little bit. They need to be more precise on how it's going to work doing the virtual learning. A lot of kids, they do need that extra hands-on with the teachers.
One major challenge the district is facing is how to give every child access to the internet and a device. CCSD is trying to acquire 76,000 Chromebooks by fall. The guide states that schools are reaching out to families directly to assess their needs. With all of these changes, the district is offering parents academic and emotional training opportunities. Those will be available in live sessions and pre-recorded content. Kate Houston, 8 News Now.
The Chief Academic Officer for CCSD will be joining us live later in this show, and we will ask her to really zero in on the plan for those IEPs and English language learner students. Kirsten?
And as you just heard, Brian, the school district has ordered some 76,000 Chromebooks by the fall. As of right now, the district has not said exactly how many of those it has received. Now, schools are handing them out as they get them. We caught up with staff at Spring Valley High School, where about 1,000 were needed there. If your child needs one, you've been asked to fill out a survey. Go to the main school district website where it inquires about technology and if you need help with internet access. Also, remember to update your contact information on the Infinite campus. Now, once those students get Chromebooks, they'll have to get online, and the school district will consider purchasing discounted Cox Connect internet for about 20,000 students. They'll be talking about that during the board meeting this week. CCSD's Back to School website also has a list of businesses supplying hotspots. And as for those Wi-Fi buses the district used at the end of last year, they may be deployed on an as-needed basis. Brian.
About 2/3 of the students in CCSD get free or reduced breakfast and lunch. For many, it's really the only way they'll get a meal during the day. Here is CCSD's plan. Food will be handed out at more than 300 sites district-wide starting August 24th. The meal pickup times will be staggered, with elementary first, then middle school, then high school. Parents picking up food should have the student ID, their grade, and what school they attend. They will pick up breakfast and lunch at the same time. Now, CCSD says they are still figuring out how transportation options will work for students who need the food dropped off. They say that information will go out via parent link when finalized. CCSD also applied for a waiver that would allow all students to receive free and reduced lunches. They are still waiting to hear back from the federal government on if that was approved. Well, with all the uncertainty about how the school year will play out, you might be wondering what's going to happen with traffic right around those school zones. Will there be or won't there be flashing lights? Our traffic anchor Nate Tannenbaum has the answers.
Well, like everything else these days, it's complicated. First, we have to wait to see if or when on-site classroom learning resumes. When that happens, we all should know what the deal is, even if we might be a little out of practice. Whether it's 15 miles an hour, 20 or 25 when those lights are flashing, that's your speed limit. Lives are at stake, and the contents of your wallet might be as well from hefty fines. So even when schools were closed in the final months of the last school year, some campuses sometimes kept their lights flashing. It was all about which schools were being used as food distribution sites. And you might expect that at least at the start of the 2021 school year. Stay tuned. Now, here's something you may not know about who controls those flashing lights. It's not the Regional Transportation Commission, and it's not exactly the school district itself, as we mentioned in a What's Driving You Crazy story back in May. Each local entity controls the school flashers in their jurisdictions. In other words, if a school's in Henderson, flashing lights are controlled by Henderson. Same for North Las Vegas and for Las Vegas. In other words, there is no one entity that controls the flashers for all schools in the school district. How about that? So to learn which campuses are food distribution sites and may have flashing lights now, we've got a link to not only the sites, but also their menus. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Nate. We put all that info in our back to school section. It's over on 8newsnow.com.
Well, some students will physically return to the classroom. Up next in our Back to School special, we'll look at the rules and precautions being taken at various private and charter schools. Plus, what will school athletics look like this year, if there are any? We take a look at how football and basketball teams are expected to play out the remainder of this year.
Like everything else, high school sports has been directly affected by the pandemic. Ron Futrell has the latest on what the upcoming sports seasons will look like.
Okay, the simple way to explain it is there will be no sports for the rest of this calendar year on the high school level. But coming January 2021, oh, get ready. All sports will cram into a very short window, and each season will last about 6 weeks. Now, all of this is subject to change, but here's the plan for now. Oh, and they're going out of normal order, okay? Like winter sports of basketball and wrestling, practice would begin in early January with games in mid-January, and the season would end February 20th. Then the fall sports season would begin, football and others. February 13th, practice begins with the first games in early March, with the season ending in late April.
We really want the kids to have a season, but we want it to be safe.
Okay, from there, now we have the spring sports of baseball, softball, and others. Practice begins in early April with games in mid-April, and the season would end May 22nd. As for state championships, right now there is no plan to go north against south. But if conditions improve, that could change. But bottom line here, everything is moved to next year with short 6-week seasons. Ron Futrell reporting, 8 News Now.
So what about those students that play more than one sport? The NIAA says they try to pick dates with as little overlap in the seasons as possible so students can still play multiple sports.
Well, we understand many of you still have a lot of specific questions about the new school year, and we're taking them directly to the school district. Joining us after the break, the Chief Academic Officer for CCSD.
So many of you have had questions about the school year, so we have been collecting them and wanted to take them directly to the people in charge.
Joining us now is Dr. Carla Loria, who is the Chief Academic Officer at CCSD. Thank you so much for your time this evening. We greatly appreciate that, Doctor. We do have several questions from our viewers, so let's begin with the first. Teresa Roach McHugh, she wants to know, what is the district going to do about the magnet programs? She says her daughter is in her senior year at Northwest, and it's a very hands-on program.
Thank you for having us and for allowing to answer some of these questions that are so important for so many of our parents. Distance education, of course, is not ideal, but is needed during the current pandemic. So for magnet programs, we understand that they're hands-on, and in many cases it is important for the kids to be in school. But our students we'll have the opportunity to engage with the teachers virtually. Our teachers are finding great ways to do the best they can to reach out to the students, allow them to participate in activities, in online activities that are engaging. We do know that distance education is not ideal. We want students back in school, but again, it's needed due to the pandemic. Our trustees are receiving updated health information every 30 days. They will be determining, based on the information we receive, when is a good time for all of us to go back to classroom, of course, keeping safety in the forefront.
Doctor, our next question comes in from a viewer named Kelsey Chatwin. She writes in, what are the schedules going to look like for preschool and kids with IEPs? Will students who need help with speech still get to see a speech teacher?
Yes, the schedules for preschool will look similar to the kindergarten schedules. They will follow the normal schedule or during that normal hours. If the child is in half-day preschool, it's going to be, of course, a shortened day. If it's in a full-day preschool, the student will have opportunities to engage in two ways with the teachers. One of them is the synchronous way. We have heard that word more often lately than ever, but that really means to be able to participate in a face-to-face activity with the teacher and a live activity with the teacher virtually. So it is just like we are doing right now via the technology. They are going to be able to access the teacher directly, and also they will be able to learn via asynchronous model lessons, which really means the students engaging in their own learning independently with activities that have been specially selected by the teachers to continue the learning of the students. Students with IEPs, students, like you said, who may need speech, they will be able to connect virtually with the teachers. At this point, the teachers will need to use their discretion and determine whether they feel comfortable to come into the school, whether they feel safe to come into the school, and either work at the school or from the school or work virtually. But they will be able to engage in the special needs opportunities that they may have based on their IEPs.
Okay. Dr. Luria, Mandy McCabe wants to know the following. She wants to know if there will be any additional tutoring services available.
Yes, there will be additional tutoring services. Tutoring services have always been managed at the school level, and there will be opportunities for students to engage in smaller group or one-on-one sessions virtually with their teachers as the teachers feel the need. We're also, as a district, working with different organizations to organize probably community organizations who may be also available to provide services to students, and if they feel comfortable, students may be able to attend those sessions face to face.
Dr. Luria, this question comes in from Scott R. Joseph. He writes in, what is going to happen with the credits towards graduation?
As usual, there are online credit retrieval options for students. We also have the Nevada Learning Academy, and that will be functioning as normal. They have always been virtual, so that will continue. Our students also will have the ability to graduate early from high school if they have the credits that makes them eligible to do that. At the same time, educators will be able to reach out students in very unique way, very individualized manners, so that they can support students to recover credits if that is the case. But students will continue being able to recover credit towards graduation.
Dr. Carla Luria joining us live on 8 News Now. Doctor, we thank you so much for your time and providing that information for our viewers. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Plans do look a little different for private and charter schools this fall. 8 News Now reporter Sally Hadamia spoke to principals, superintendents, and CEOs of a few different schools and gives us a look at what their learning plans involve.
I think it's a challenge when you shut down athletics and you shut down the arts and you shut down all the after-school activities. It's not just the education, it's that social piece. It's where the kids find their passion after school. When that all gets shut down, it takes a toll on everybody.
The typical back to school looks a little different for the various charter schools, with some opting for classroom settings while others are staying virtual.
So our plan really has two options for our families. One is to come back 5 days a week face-to-face, and then we also have an option for families who aren't comfortable yet sending their kids back. We're going to tape every single class every day.
But not everyone is doing everything exactly the same.
We're sponsored by Clark County School District. We made the move to online learning, and our face-to-face component was just suspended temporarily.
Our board decision that was made a little over a week ago was to return all virtually.
And when it comes to health in schools, the CEO of Faith Lutheran Middle and High School says it will be taken very seriously.
Some of the things would include we're taking temperatures every morning, doing some health screening, we're extending passing periods, we have one-way hallways, we're serving lunch from 5 different places. We're not gathering for chapel every week like we normally would.
In addition, desks will be cleaned between every block, and every student and teacher will be required to wear a mask, social distance, and even wear a face shield.
Right now, our numbers show about 6% of our students are going to choose what we call option 2 to stay home, and about 94% of them seem to want to come back 5 days a week.
Superintendent at Odyssey Charter School says they've been fortunate to have scheduled their blended learning model and feel fully equipped.
So we're going to begin online, and then what we're hoping is that as things improve with COVID-19, that we will slowly begin to shift back into our online combined with our face-to-face component of our program.
And over at Somerset, the principal says the goal is consistency.
Is that perfect for all of our families? No. No matter what we do, it's not perfect for all of our families. But we had to look at what can we do to be consistent with our kids.
And even though all plans are different, everyone has the same need for flexibility.
We're going to rely on the Southern Nevada Health District and or the governor and or the CDC. If they would need to completely shut us down, we'd be ready to pivot immediately into fully remote learning if we have to.
Sally Jaramillo, 8 News Now.
Some school plans changed after the governor's press conference last week. Charter schools that were set to open prior to August 24th will now be virtual until that date. And of the 19 charter schools that are opening today, 6 switched from the hybrid model to distance learning. Those are Discovery Charter School, Akipo Academy, Founders Academy, Quest Charter Academy, and Signature Prep. An additional 19 charter schools are set to open the week of the 17th. So far, Pinecrest has switched to full distance. Others tell us they are still trying to figure out what they plan to do. For a list on more of the private and charter school plans, check out our website, 8newsnow.com.
A lot of parents scrambling with that new information. Coming up, don't forget to vaccinate. The shots children will still need before school starts up again. That's next on the Valley's News Leader.
Even though many of our kids will be learning from home, students still have to get their vaccines. That includes the measles, that is, mumps, rubella, or MMR shots. CCSD requires back-to-school immunizations for children entering kindergarten and 7th grade. Parents planning to go to the health district's clinic for their shots do need to bring their immunization records with them as well. Well, it's been a wonderful half an hour. Thank you so much for watching our Back to School special.
Yeah, we have links to all of the information we talked about. We'll have that full interview up on 8newsnow.com. Just use the keywords back to school, and we're always on our app. You can also find us on our 8 News Now Facebook page, as well as follow us on Twitter. Crazy school year, a lot going on. We'll try to stay on top of it for you.
Unprecedented times, so patience. Okay, everybody, just give yourself that. We wish you all good luck.